we go. Ellyn with a Y, back in action. Thank you. Thank you so much for joining me this week. Welcome back. Happy 2020. This is the first episode of the new year. I am so excited to have you here this week. Thank you for everyone for tuning in. I'm really excited to have the 45th episode kick off our new year, 2020. And as I started in 2019, I like to set an intention at the top of the episode. So first of all, if you know what's going on in Australia, it's pretty catastrophic and the wildfires are really crazy. And I've been to Australia. I really love the country, love the experience, love the culture and the people. So if you have the means, definitely make a donation. Just try to do what you can. But also for this episode, I wanted to talk a little bit about and set the intention for being open-minded in 2020. If you're living with really cemented ideas and opinions on things and very rigid on what your thoughts and ideas are, and you're not open to other people's thoughts and opinions, it doesn't really leave a lot of room for respectful discourse and for being open to how other people may feel. You don't have to necessarily change your mind, but you should be open-minded enough to be able to hear someone else's opinion if it's different from yours. And this being a very important year for everyone in the United States, 2020 is an election year, but I also just think living your life open to new ideas, new people, new concepts, I think it's really important. And so I just want to remind everyone that sameness is stagnant, and just want to be open with each other and be respectful and have just an open heart when you're just talking to other people. So that's kind of the intention for this episode, and definitely for me going into 2020. That being said, my open mind is open for hot topics. I've been opening Instagram every day, multiple times a day, and all I'm getting is the very first picture in my feed is Justin Bieber promoting his new song, Yummy. If you have not seen the promotion for this new song, his new album that's coming out, his new documentary on YouTube, which is coming out January 27th, mark your calendars, I definitely would say take a look. It's really funny. It's like he's promoting his song so hard and trying to get people to post reactions to his song. It's like he's Justin Bieber. No matter what he does, it's newsworthy. So I don't understand why he's trying so hard to make Yummy, the song, like a thing. Like it's like Fetch from Mean Girls. It's like, stop trying to make Fetch happen. Like if it's gonna take off, it's gonna take off. And he's Justin Bieber. And the song, it slaps, all right? Like, it definitely is a hit. It's gonna get played on the radio, and just like, whatever will be, will be. Que sera, Justin Bieber. Like, take a breath. You don't have to constantly be posting, hey guys, post your reactions to my song. Like, don't be so thirsty. Love you. Okay, moving into my what to watch segment. What to watch. I'm still not over these hand motions. I just wanna tell everyone, your true power binger. I was out in full form this weekend. I fully binged 2 seasons of a Netflix show called You, which is very confusing when you're talking to other people about a Netflix show. You're like, oh, I watched You. And they're like, that's creepy. So I have my new roommate, Catherine, here. We both watched You. We were obsessed. We both were like reacting to it at different points. Like, just wait for this. It was really fun to watch. It is starring Penn Badgley from Gossip Girl. And he plays a guy who has a bit of an obsessive relationship to the women in his life. And spoiler, but not spoiler, because this was all over the world. I just didn't know. John Stamos is in it for a hot moment. Just watch it for John Stamos and an awesome beard. Like, I didn't know he did beards, and he looked great. So watch it. It's definitely creepy and weird, and his obsessiveness, and like you hear his inner monologue, which is very interesting and like kind of adds like a whole other level to the show. I usually try to like watch like fun and light shows recently, but this was like dark but a little bit of funny. So I highly recommend watching and binging You. It got picked up for a 3rd season, so you will be in for it. And that moves me into my first food for thought of the new year. I think I figured out why the West Coast is so much more chill than what I would consider the East Coast to be. Very intense, go, 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 have to be there first, have to be the best. I think it has to do with the sunrise and sunset at the beach. On the East Coast, to watch the sun at the ocean, you have to see the sunrise. That means you have to wake up at an aggressive hour of the day and rush to the beach to see the sunrise. In high school, I had friends who wanted to guys, let's wake up and go see the sunrise. Never once, these were my best friends in high school, never once did I go with them, okay? You're not dragging me out of bed at ungodly hours just to watch the sunrise in the morning on the beach. I couldn't do it. So that's just not for me. The West Coast has it right. Very calm, very chill, wake up, live your life, do your day. Go see the sun set at the beach. That's relaxing, that's calm, that's a more laid back lifestyle. So what I'm saying is that the reason people on the West Coast are laid back is because they get to watch the sunset over the ocean. And that's facts. That's on science. So that's my ideas as to why I think the East Coast people we are wound up, we are aggressive, we are go, 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 because we have to wake up at an ungodly hour to see the ocean and see the sunrise. Let's go to the West Coast. So that is my food for thought segment, which brings me into the guest portion of my show. I am very excited to bring on the director of film marketing at Refinery 29, someone who knows all about Saturn returning, your spirit, tarot, and travel, Fiona Hillery. Woohoo! Yeah.
Hey guys.
There you go. Okay, so Fiona, I mentioned that you work at Refinery 29, but can you tell everyone how we know each other?
Yeah, I was trying to sit and think about the first time that I met you, and I don't know that it was a particular moment, but I just remember when the energy of our global content meeting, which is our all hands on deck, all the captains come into the same room and talk about the future of whatever's going on. And I just remember this force, this sun, this force, and I'm who is this Powerpuff Girl coming through and making big moves and presenting these crazy decks that are so well done and beautiful, decorated, and who is she? And then we were able to work together, and we've had some great collaborations since.
So I bumped into Fiona after you came back from a really beautiful trip to Bali, where it was really spiritual, and you were able to tell me a lot about what you experienced there, but I wanted to kind of bring it back and talk a little bit about how you got into and got involved with, tarot and astrology, numerology, and looking for healing in those modalities.
Gosh, well, this could go into my life story, but let's fast forward to my Saturn return, which is age 28. And basically, it is what happens when anything in your life that isn't rooted in stable ground is really kind of upheavaled. And so for me, what it looked like was chasing a life where I was given all of the tools and ingredients for external success. So kind of what you were talking about with living in New York. So I moved here right after college, and it's get a job, get the job that's sexy and fun, do it well, do what you love, get a nice apartment. And Sex and the City was my icon, this gold star of this is everything I need. And so, it manifested itself in this external way where I got the apartment. I have an amazing job that I'm so grateful for. But there was something that was happening in my internal world that just wasn't sitting well with me. And that's because I wasn't given the tools to navigate all of these internal wounds that had happened. And my wounds aren't really any different than, yours or anybody else's. Everybody kind of comes with their own set of demons or healing that they really need to undergo in their adult life in order to thrive. That can be extreme or that can be minimalized.
Yeah.
But for me, it manifested in quite a toxic relationship, which wasn't, waving. So the trigger to this healing journey that I went on was a pretty toxic relationship, and I really couldn't figure out why I was attracting the same breed of asshole. Sorry, am I allowed to say that? Okay. I was wait, why is this same story coming up and
over
coming
and
up
over.
and coming up?
Okay.
And then it just got to a point where I really had to acknowledge this internal restructuring that needed to happen within myself.
Okay.
And so I saw a therapist, And she happened
highly
to
recommend everyone be open-minded.
Recommend. The best thing I could have done. But what
Okay.
was great about my therapist, who's right down the block, is that she also had this open mind to the Eastern modalities. She had this beautiful blend of Western science and also Eastern modalities of healing, which have to do with consciousness on top of Western medicine.
Okay.
So you can heal yourself in terms of like the ways that we know, which in the Western world have a lot of pharmaceutical emphasis. But then there's also modalities of healing that have to do with your spirit.
Okay.
So you heal your body, you heal your mind, but you also can navigate the soul. And I think when it came down to it, I was really having this like existential moment of the soul. And so on top of like self-care that I was doing and the cognitive therapy that me and I won't say her name, but she's awesome. And if you want a recommendation, I'll give it to her after. So one thing my therapist said to me was, hey, I know that you're dealing with all of this that seems really heavy. Do you also know you're going through your Saturn return? And so that was the one comment that sent me into like the gateway of astrology as a means to learn more about the spiritual ways of healing.
And Saturn return is a time of change, right?
Yeah, Saturn like rules over karma, discipline, routine. It is the foundation of which your life is built on.
Okay.
And it's also coming to a major head with Pluto, the planet of destruction, this Sunday. So has it related to me on a personal level? It'll hit everybody at age 28. It'll hit you in different ways based on your birth chart, but it hit me pretty hard. And so the beauty that came from it was that it sent me into this really deep exploration into esoteric principle.
Okay.
So it started with astrology. And I was like, I need to know everything about myself, my natal birth chart. So I looked up what that was and was able to get clues as to my personality, the different aspects that were coming up around family, around work. It really offers a blueprint.
Yeah,
your
do you
natal birth
feel
chart.
like it helped you kind of see the ways that you were, the way that other people were, and the way that you were interacting, and like help make sense of certain things?
Yeah.
Because I think that that's what's really interesting to me about this, is that people are searching for meaning and to make sense of things. And like I think you said something earlier before we went live about how young people today, like millennials and Gen Z, are searching for some kind of like understanding and for some kind of higher, greater understanding that they're not necessarily getting in like traditional like this puritanical society that we've been raised in. So that's what's really interesting, is that's what you were seeking out, was that understanding.
Yeah, and I think, there's nothing wrong with religion. I was brought up Catholic, but I think there's something to being able to explore the realm of spiritual awakening on your own. And there's so many different modalities that we're just not taught that can be used as a tool to understand your inner workings, your mind. And so what astrology did for me was enable me to take a step back. Like, look at me, because I'm Aquarius, so I can be detached. I can be the scientist. So I was like, okay, like let's take a step back and dissect what's going on here. So using the natal birth chart, I was able to do that. And using synastry chart with my toxic romantic partner, I was able to identify why this wasn't the relationship for me. Why this was a lesson, not my person. And there's like a sense of like fatedness, and there's also a free will. So I think knowledge is power. And modalities like tarot and astrology were two ways that I kind of developed that over the course of 2 years.
So can you kind of define and keep the difference clear for everyone? Because I think tarot, I'm fascinated, because I know less about tarot.
Okay, so astrology is like a basic principle based on the celestial movements, and it dates back to the Mayans. It has to do with the sun, moon, stars, Mercury, Venus, and all of them make up different personality aspects, different generational, societal aspects. And so it's definitely more scientifically driven. You actually have to be a pretty great mathematician to be an astrologer, which is something that I'm continuing my education on.
There you go.
Because I'm a little right-brained. But so tarot came to me in the midst of this like exploration, dark night of the soul, as one of my friends who's schooled in Glastonbury. She's like a proper witch.
Wow.
And I was just sitting crying in her Brooklyn apartment, and she taught me tarot. She's like, let's do a reading. And tarot is 78 cards, so I have a couple of them here.
Yay!
And the entire deck is representative of the human experience, and it dates back all the way to the Egyptians. There's different lore. It really came into mainstream in the medieval times. But what happens when you use tarot, I was personally skeptical because what the practice is, you can do different spreads. So for example, a basic spread is like past, present, future, depending on the situation. You can do complicated spreads like a Celtic cross. And then you can also pull a card a day, which is how I learned.
Okay, so you're pulling a card. Are you still pulling a card a day, like to help set?
So it has to do with energy. It has to do with archetypes, energies, situations. So each individual card has to do with a situation.
Okay.
It's tied to the tarot and it's tied to numerology.
Okay.
So you'll see synchronicities across all different healing modalities in the Eastern world, but you learn the different combinations when you see the cards in collaboration with each other. There are different archetypes. So for example, the Queen of Swords, which is an air sign, has to do with Libra, which is you. So what we would do with a reading is that we would set intention, and the whole thing is using tarot as a tool to raise your intuition.
Okay.
I think there's this like misperception that you have to be psychic to be a tarot reader. And that's what I thought, and that's what kind of kept me away from it, kept me skeptical. But what happened when I started to learn tarot and started to pull it every day was that these crazy like statistical anomalies started coming about. So
really?
I would be pulling the same card out of 78 cards in the deck every single day. And when I asked about my crappy ex, I would be pulling the same devil card every single day.
The devil card.
When I would ask. And so like what that allowed me to do as well, especially when I did spreads, situational spreads.
Yeah.
It allowed me to, again, take a step back from my personal emotional attachment to see things in a more objective way.
Okay.
To see the bigger picture, to see the different sides of the situation. I've like pulled a card a day and kind of meditated on it. And I think it's the same thing with astrology, right? Is like, you can look into what's happening in 2023 when Pluto goes into Aquarius, and it's the dawning of the age of Aquarius.
Yes, oh my gosh, guys, everyone play that song tonight.
And
Age of Aquarius.
And so you can use these modalities for prediction, and I think, you know, people could get obsessed with them. But what I do is I believe in humans' free will too. So I use them as a tool to gain more knowledge about the energies around me, what's happening situationally with the people I love, etc. And then you work with that. You take action based on like your best interest and your loved one's best interest based on this like greater knowledge.
Giving you a greater understanding of self and then a greater understanding of others, while also setting intention for you for every day, like pulling a card every day, keeping like that level of awareness, I think is really interesting. Like learning something new. You went out and learned something entirely new. You didn't know it before. And now you're walking through life with that added knowledge. And so that's giving you a greater awareness or just something to help you be more perceptive of what's happening around you. And I think that kind of relates back to the idea of being open-minded and being able to see things clearer or see things with an open heart, even if you're not entirely sure what you feel about something just yet. I'm very fascinated by this. So I gave you like my birth date, where I was born.
So I basically took numerology. So there's also numerology, which is based on your birth year.
Okay.
So there's a couple cards here. There is the Queen of Swords, which is the mutable air archetype for Libra. And it speaks of a feminine energy who's able to wield her skills around communication for the greater good of humanity. And what is crazy is that I also looked into your birth chart. And you just went through a Saturn return.
Yes.
You didn't just go through a Saturn return, girl. You went through a Pluto transit. And
wait, what does that mean?
You had the two big planets that are hitting on Sunday and going to impact everybody. And Pluto and Saturn have to do with power. They have to do with karma, restructuring, discipline.
Okay.
And so on Sunday, when they come together in the sign of Capricorn, having to do with wealth and money and power, you're going to see big things happening. Okay. You're already seeing them happening with Weinstein and the presidency.
The case and
but when they hit you personally in your chart, sorry, I actually hit you.
It's fine.
When they hit you personally, when you're going through this return,
they're
going to impact whatever area they're falling into. So for you, both Pluto and Saturn oppose your midheaven.
Okay.
Your midheaven has to do with your career and the way that people see you.
Okay.
And Pluto and Saturn for you have to do with communication in Libra. So, like, the way that I read what just happened to you in the past 2 years with both of these major planets hitting, and it's so funny because I was present for it, and here we are.
Yes.
Has to do with leveling up. It has to do with claiming your power at work using tools of communication for the community because it falls in your third house.
Oh my
God.
God.
So, like, it is so crazy that we're sitting here having this conversation because I discovered EllynwithaY after I came back from Bali.
Yeah.
After you had gone through this, like, return. You're at the tail end of it now.
Yeah.
But I've seen you, like, you know, you leveled up, you evolved.
Oh my God, that's so crazy because I really have. I feel like I've like stepped into my power from a career perspective. Like I can articulate myself so much better in a professional setting. Like I was so timid when I was younger in the beginning of my career. And in the last like 2 years, I feel like I keep telling people, everyone's always asking like, oh, like, you know, you've gone through like an evolution change. I'm like, the last 2 years have really changed me. I've literally said the last 2 years. And then this past year, I'm coming up on my 1 year anniversary of doing the show. And like stepping into wanting to be in front of the camera and like make this more intentional and more a part of my everyday life.
Your midheaven is in Cancer as well, which has to do with like authentic emotional expression. It's coming from a place of the heart. It's coming from a place of like the water. It's being able to speak your truth and speak your emotions in a professional setting because it's in your midheaven.
I'm so excited because that's what I feel. I feel like I'm like living as close to my truth as you possibly can when I like do this show.
I see it. Your birth number is 5, which is what happens when you add 9, 2, 3, and 1989. And so that archetype is Hierophant. And the Hierophant has to do with a figure who is seen as a leader, who's guarding the gates of knowledge. He or she, because it's a man on here, but I would like to think of the Hierophant as a woman too. They have sacred knowledge of self. They have knowledge of like a higher power. They're being able to hold space for people from an empathetic point of view. And they're teachers. They're healers, they're teachers, and they're guarding the gates of sacred knowledge.
Oh my God, see, okay, this really speaks to me because I talk a lot, especially when I go home and like I'm like chatting with my mom, because you know that's when you have like me and my mom are very close. We have very honest conversations. Hi, Mom. I know you're watching. Hi, Mom. And I think I talk a lot about like being self-aware and evolving and growing and searching for more knowledge and like always be open to learning. And that is just like...
That brings me to your year card of 9. So that's what you get when you add 9, 2, 3, and 2020, which is how you calculate your year card for this year. And so this year you are going through your hermit phase.
Oh my gosh, what does that mean?
It doesn't really sound sexy, but it's great.
Great.
It has to do exactly with what you said. It's seeking a higher truth. So the hermit isn't like staying in his apartment and doing nothing. The hermit is discovering a deeper truth within him or herself. And so it's 9, which has to do with like closing out a cycle in a good way. It has to do with like getting to the next level of your evolution by means of like exploring like what does truth mean to you, like what does like personal fulfillment mean to you, and it's often after the hermit that you will get this like abundance because you'll know what you want to call in. And honestly, that's how I called in my current boyfriend. And then I was sitting there on the lunar eclipse last year in July, and I wrote, because eclipses are a great time to manifest. This one, which is a full moon, you should be releasing. That's on Friday. But when it's a new moon, it's a great time to write intention. It's a great time to set like an exact specific goal for what you want to call into your life. And then watch it come in. And so 2 weeks later, this exact human walked into my life. And it just goes to show that like when you've done this hermit work, when you've gone through this year, which was my year before, this was my year last year, you can just get to a place where you're able to like manifest magic.
Oh my gosh, I'm so excited. I feel really like invigorated to continue exploring, you know, what do I want? What do I want for my future, for my life? I feel like that was kind of me looking into 2020. How do I want to model my life? Because I'm 30 and I can kind of determine like where and how my life goes and how it lives. And that's really spot on. Oh my gosh, guys. So like this is a real live, I didn't see these before. This is a very genuine reaction. So I feel like warm and fuzzy. I'm excited. I feel really inspired because I don't know.
It's empowering.
You need to follow Fiona on Instagram at
Fiona Bologna.
Yes. And
I'll do it
follow
for you.
Fiona and DM her, and maybe you guys can like set up a session
We'll
or a
set up
Skype
a
sesh.
Yeah, I'm starting to offer this more. So I think I really wanted to make sure that I felt really knowledgeable about astrology and that I felt well practiced in tarot. I've slowly last year began making it more of my public offering, and then I feel ready. 2020 is
That
the year.
was your hermit year. Now you're out and you're doing it.
2020 is an emperor year for the collective, which has to do with taking power based on gut feelings and based on your sacral center.
Oh my gosh.
So I'm ready to take the emperor's stick and just go. And I'm also really excited to share it with the world because I feel like it's a cool way
really
of
cool.
self-discovery.
And
and the world needs healing.
Yes.
Because look at what's happening.
The world does need healing. And that's why I always say I end every episode with spread joy and spread laughter. If you found yourself smiling or having a good time while watching this, that's incredible. And you have the privilege of being able to share that positivity with other people. So hopefully, if you're watching this, you can hug someone now or be kind to someone tomorrow at work, maybe pay for the people behind you for coffee, whatever. Just try and spread a little bit of that joy and just live your life intentionally and aware of how you're living it. I'm so glad this is how we started off the show for the new year. Thank you for coming on, Fiona.
Thanks, guys, for watching.
Thank you, everyone, for watching. I really appreciate it. And this is episode 45, so we're coming up on 1 year. So stay tuned. Again, spread some joy, spread some laughter, and some kindness to some people. And I will see you next week. Bye. Woo! Hi everyone, thanks for watching. To subscribe to my channel, click here. And to watch more videos, click here. Be sure to like, comment, and hit the bell so you get notified every time I upload a video.
Sit down, choosing happy.